My brothers and my sisters, it seems at this point in December we are in fast-forward mode towards Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. But before we sort of enter into that crazy scramble, let's take a pause. Let's go back to the readings that were proclaimed at the fourth Sunday of Advent. And there, St. Paul suggests something that all of us need to consider. St. Paul says, "As it is written of me in the scroll, as it is written of me in the scroll, I come to do your will, O Lord." Something for us to consider too. But let's open this up a bit more. Let's consider Mary and her encounter with the angel Gabriel. When Gabriel comes to Mary and says to Mary, "Don't be afraid, you will birth the Son of God, the Savior of the world." And Mary chose to cooperate with God's will, with hope and trust, and with some fear. But she was willing and desiring to understand her role and where her name is written in the scroll of the Lord, and her unique place, and she birthed the Son of God. And by extension, as Gabriel said to her, Elizabeth, your kinswoman, who has been barren and who is elderly, she too will birth a son. In other words, Mary's cooperation with God, her desire to do God's will, her understanding that she has a unique place in the scroll of the Lord, enabled other people to experience miraculous things. And thus the gospel from Sunday talks about how Elizabeth was also a recipient of God's miraculous love and mercy and hope and grace. And why? Because Elizabeth was also a recipient of Mary's trust in the Lord. And by extension, what Elizabeth received was God's graces. So what does that mean for you and me? What it means, my sisters and my brothers, is that I need to understand where my name is written in that scroll, where your name is written in that scroll. Who am I? Who are you? And when we come to greater awareness of that, then we are able to do God's will and cooperate with God in doing his will. And when we do that, my sisters and my brothers, not only are we the beneficiaries, but miraculous things happen to other people, the way miraculous things happened to Elizabeth when Mary cooperated with God's will as well. So, before we get to Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, let's consider for a moment where our names are written in that scroll, what it is we are called to be, and thus then to do, and how it is we cooperate with God's will. Because when we do that, my sisters and my brothers, a lot of other miraculous things can happen in the world. Happy Advent.